Welcome, everybody, to the Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Raad Life on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. Raad Life brought to you by your home company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Raad Life.
Okay, well, we are here, and I've been trying to get this lady on the show for a while. I've been trying at least for like 2 months, I think, to get you on the show, right? And between traveling in Paris and, you know, all
Paris?
yeah. I mean, it's actually, I'm putting it on her, but, you know, I promised I'd be gentle. So, no, she was traveling, but I also tried to fit her in, and it just didn't work out. So I'm really, really happy that you are here.
Thank you. You speak my language really, really, really.
I really. Okay.
That's what I would say.
So, Dee-Dee, introduce yourself, please, for those who don't know you. And you have a really good following anyway, but I introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about what you do. And by the way, great name, great website name. I've always thought so. I've been kind of following you for a while. So,
yes. Give us the name and website. Now you teased it. Yeah, you got to tell us what it is.
It's my website is the initials of my name. It's Dee-Dee, just the initials, Devin, D-E-V as in Victor, I-N.com. And my name is Dee-Dee Devin. So easy to remember, deedevin.com. And I do have lots of resources and articles and blogs and videos on there. But today's your chance to call in and ask me anything.
Anything?
And what is the name of the company?
It's DEEVINE Intervention.
Which I think is awesome, by the way. I mean, branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've had that. How long have you been in business?
12 years. I was just reflecting on that myself. And 12 years. While traveling in...
You sound like you were going to say something and then you thought better of it. It went 12 years.
Well,
yeah, 12
I can't believe
years.
it's been so long. I was... well, no, I take that back. Erase.
We didn't say any of that.
Okay. I just turned... Well, I'm about to turn 59.
What?
And, my life began when
That's
I turned
amazing.
50. So I guess it's 9 years.
Can
your
you
life
get the
became-
mic a little closer to you there? Just get a little closer.
Yeah, it's a little directional, Dee-Dee.
There you
So
go.
just,
Yeah.
So 59, you realize you're a child.
Yeah, only 9 years old because my life began at 50.
So let me ask you this, just so we can set the stage. What is the business?
What I do is I serve women primarily who are ready to learn to make themselves a priority without guilt and shame. And I realized that when I turned 50, it's my life too. And while traveling in Italy a few years ago, I met a doctor. I needed a doctor, and I met with a holistic physician. And being the healthcare advocate that I am, I asked him what he found to be the most prevalent problem in his medical practice.
Yeah.
And he said, without an instant's hesitation, that people don't know how to love themselves.
Wow.
And whether this rampant lack of self-love takes the form of physical affliction, obesity, addiction, or the myriad of ailments that, as in the doctor's practice, or whether it expresses itself as so-called psychological problems, low self-esteem, relationship difficulties, problems with money, it's clear that there's an epidemic in our inability to love ourselves. And
So you've set the stage pretty well here, okay? And I was, I want to step back for a minute because I want to delve into that really, right? Because I agree with you 100%, and we talk about it all the time about how thoughts are things, and we, that your body manifests what you think and what you feel, and if you have blockages in certain things, it actually takes on a physical identity in terms of illness and ways that basically your body reacts to it. So before we get into that, though, you said something that was interesting. You said your life started at 50, and you've been doing this, right?
Correct.
So what were you doing before?
I was a personal trainer for since I was 40. Before that, I had 4 children. So I've been busy.
I sometimes I'll ask questions, Dee-Dee, that I kind of know the answers to, but I'm trying to set the stage for people. You've been out there on sort of a journey of exploration one way or the other and being open to that, right?
Correct. Well, I'm one of those weird people that really loved working out. I've always enjoyed working out. And I kind of got the bug early. It got that habit going.
Yeah.
And but I realized after spending 10 years in the gym that your body, which is most people are after, doesn't really happen in the gym.
Right.
It happens in your lifestyle.
Right.
And which quickly revealed deeper issues and desires around relationships, intimacy, epic love. And because you can't have an epic or even good relationship with someone else without having one first with yourself, my focus then has refined even further over the years to serving, I call it, women of a certain age, empty nesters, divorced, retired. I tend to attract a lot of what I call milestone women. I'm turning 50, I'm turning 60, I'm turning 70, I'm turning 80. It's like, if not now, when? It's my life too, and that's kind of where.
What do you think makes for that? Is it just is that age relationship to age, or is it just this point in life's journey?
I believe it's, we tend to think we're doing everybody else a service by taking care of them first, when really it's our ethical responsibility to take care of ourselves first, because I'm no good to anybody else unless I take care of myself first. So my mantra is me first, and then I take care of you.
You know what's funny, Dee-Dee, is that there somewhere along the way, and I've said this on this show a couple of times before, somewhere along the way the word selfish became a complete negative.
Correct.
Right. And yet at the same time, we also have in the culture the fact that if you don't give to yourself, if you don't replenish your bank account, quote unquote, if you don't put in the reserves, then you don't have in you to give, right?
Correct.
But at the same time,
put your own oxygen mask on first.
Exactly. Put your oxygen mask on first. It's perfect. So here you are at 40. You're from 40 to 50. You're very involved in exercise. By the way, I dumped my gym membership last week because I basically finally realized I'm trying to fit into a mold that doesn't work for me, and my fitness is outside in the open air.
Yeah,
and it was really funny. It was like, why have I been basically doing this?
Right.
Because, right?
Right. Well, our body composition realistically is only 10% working out. I like to give it more credit because I do it so much.
Yeah.
It's 10% genetics. I'll never be 5'5". That'd be great. That'd be a big stretch for me. I'm 5'3". But it's 80% what we eat, but it's not what we eat. It's more what's eating us. So
say that again. That was a good. That's one of those quote-worthy moments here.
Yeah, it's not what we eat, but it's not what we eat either. But it's more about what's eating us. Our primary food, I like to call it, is like we hunger for everything in our life.
Right.
We hunger for fun, relationships, variety, excitement, and then so our primary food is what satisfies our hunger for living.
So what do? You can't bring people variety, excitement, and all that.
By the way, I just want to point out to Paul,
Yes.
that little corner of the studio right there.
Yeah.
That's where all the food gets squirreled.
It does.
So he's asking these questions because I think you're resonating with him a little bit here.
So how do you help these people? I get what you're saying. You're resonating with a lot of us of a certain age. I said you're a child. I'm 62, so
Only
you're a mere
62?
child. You were one of those kids I pushed away. My friend's little sister or something.
What would you say people are most hungry for?
Our primary food, like I say, is what satisfies our hunger for living, which would be relationships, spirituality, physical activity, and our career or our passion or our purpose. And so, for example, a woman might go home and eat a pint of ice cream because, she'd rather have a hug and a kiss, but she's not happy with her relationship, so she goes to the ice cream. Or a man might go home and, hit the bottle because he had a stressful day at work. He's not an alcoholic. Maybe he just doesn't like his job. So it's really food. When your life is fulfilling, food just becomes food. You eat when you're hungry. You stop when you're full.
So why do we know that this is what we need to feed ourselves? How come we don't learn that along the way?
Well, I have a quote. It's for fast-acting relief. Try slowing down.
Well, you're full of them here.
I am full of them.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, go ahead.
I couldn't remember a Bible verse if my life depended on it, but I'm full of quotes. They really do carry me. And I think the quote that started my journey was, "And the day came when the pain of remaining tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." So a lot of people are afraid that if they don't do this, they're just afraid they've never done anything else. A lot of people struggle with is their their behaviors. Okay, below that is our beliefs, and below that is our identity.
So explain that a little bit more, if you can.
Well, we are who we are because before we were 5 years old. We take on, beliefs that we've learned to adapt our life to by our primary caregivers. And then, so for example, if I believe that I have to work hard for a living, which is what I used to believe when I was in the gym, sweating it out 12 hours a day, you can have whatever you want. I was raised that way. My parents had their own business. You can have whatever you want.
As long as you work hard for it.
As long as you work hard for it. So can't is not an option because I'm a doer. But when I changed my belief to I am worthy, I am lovable, you're just a little cutie pie. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. It can't be given. It can't be taken away. It just is. It's a much softer, gentler, kinder, feminine, sensual approach. And people, are really used to beating themselves up, and that doesn't work for any length of time. You can force yourself to go to the gym for only so long, or be on a diet for so long. But
so I'm still curious. So what do you do to these people?
Well, it's actually I call it a 90-day total body transformation. So it's baby steps. Primarily, like I say, number one is making yourself a priority.
And you have to be receptive to it, right? I mean,
I was going to say, how do you just go to somebody and say, make yourself a priority? Oh, okay, I'll put that number one on my list today here.
You're not ready then.
The number one thing that if you can do that will change everything is, number one, balance your blood sugar, followed by managing your stress. So I break it down into 12 sessions. But the first 4 sessions, we talk about what to eat. And I don't know what you should eat. I'm not you. It depends on age, sex, genetics, metabolic, blood type, likes, dislikes, allergies, sensitivities.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, so together we tap into your gut instincts and...
no pun intended, gut instincts for eating. Yes, right.
Yes, yeah. So we definitely...
Are you hungry over there?
I'm getting hungry. It's noon. Craig, when he comes in here, he gives me lunch.
Yeah, I'm not giving you lunch.
I teach you how to tap into your intuition. So, for example, an animal doesn't go through the forest or doesn't go to a nutritionist to find out what to eat. They go through the forest and they go, or your dog, no, food. So we kind of do the same, so we are so bombarded by advertisements and media and marketing. It's really hypnosis. So we don't know what we're hungry for.
I was listening to a podcast last week, and 35,000 ads we are bombarded by every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every day. There's that kind of impact on us on a daily basis, telling us what we should be doing, what we should be.
We're going to play some in a little while.
I have another famous quote, you must be what you want your children to become. And I have 4 grown children.
Interesting.
And I raised them with no TV.
What?
No TV for 20 years.
And they survived.
And my biggest joy today, I can honestly say that all 4 of them on their own, independent, are healthy and exercise. One owns a yoga empire. She'd be a great guest. The other one is a creative, following her heart. She's kind of a starving artist, but that's her identity. Chef, photographer, writer.
That's awesome.
Another one's a massage therapist.
So they'll have to do with some kind of health. I don't hear an accountant in there. I don't hear a
missionary.
Missionary. Wow.
Yeah. So they're all just following their passion. And
where are they missioning?
Well, she was. It's another story, but in the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been there
awesome.
5 years.
So a lot of pursuit of passion and being of service, kind of.
And so we really try to focus on, because the artichoke is your health. And if you don't have your health, you can't do anything for anybody. And so we really want to get you the energy, get you the sleep. Like probably 90% of what people suffer with is our own fault. So I say, let's do our due diligence. So let's see if we can get the sleep you need. Let's get the water that you need. Let's get the rest you need. Let's get the fun you need. Let's get the sun you need. Let's check your alkaline. So after you do all that and then you're still suffering, then let's maybe go to check out a doctor. But there's so much of it is in our control.
And so again, I'm just struggling to explain. So then somebody if I hired you.
Are you looking for a silver bullet? Are you looking for a quick answer?
I want a 5-step program.
Let me explain something to you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Dee-Dee will agree with me, but if you're not ready then you're not. Nothing is going to work out for you. And
Amen.
And there is no shortcut, silver bullet. I got to fit it in between 12 and 1 because I got an opening on my calendar.
I hate
this is
that.
a lifetime commitment
Oh,
that is
no, I can't do
constantly a work in process.
I can't do that.
Okay?
I want
How
the-
many isms do you have in your life, and why isn't it is what it is?
We live
part
in
of
a
that ism.
60-second society. I want the answer in 60-second or in 140 characters, and I want
How's that going to work
a
out for him,
3-step
Dee-Dee?
program, 5-step program, 10-step program. Right.
I just take the
12
one
step.
step program. You know, I do have 10 questions that kind of eliminates the willpower and the
Okay.
self-control, but I just take the shortcut.
Yeah.
And ultimately, self-compassion, self-care, self-love is a series of choices, a moment-by-moment conscious turning away from that which will harm your spirit toward that which will nourish and sustain you. And in choosing in any particular situation over and over again, whether you'll treat yourself well or beat yourself up. So I say my 5 famous words is, that doesn't work for me, and is this serving my highest purpose?
How
Is
often?
this serving my highest purpose? And if it's not, I just say no. So I was going to ask you, do you swear on this program? Because usually you start off with like, how are you? I'm like, my standard answer is, can I swear on this program?
Absolutely.
Hell no.
It's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Because
no.
it's
Wow.
the best day ever. And
I didn't
they
expect
say,
that out of you, Dee-Dee. You look too sweet
They
to
say
say
best
that.
day ever. Why? I'm like, because
Right.
it's Wednesday. Why not?
Right.
And if it doesn't serve my
Right.
highest purpose, I just say that doesn't serve me.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with you. And if it does bother you, that has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's on them.
It's on them, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whether you'll deny yourself or treat yourself lovingly as you would treat.
But you're saying we don't do that. You make it sound so easy. It's just a choice. Just choose a better food. Just choose a better solution.
I
Just
told you
choose
if
a
you
better
weren't
path.
ready, it wasn't going to work for
But
you.
but at the same time, you're saying 99% of us choose the wrong path, the wrong food, the wrong person, the wrong response, the wrong reaction.
Well, that's because they're tied into their habits. So the very first thing I would ask somebody, and this is number one, is what do you want? What do you want, Paul?
And so many of us, especially at
No,
this age,
don't
go,
answer
If-
the question with a question.
If you
don't
had a
answer the
magic, if you had a
question.
magic wand and you can get whatever you want,
What do you want?
what would you like?
chocolate cake.
Okay.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm being facetious. I think too many of us, especially at this age, we've been gifted, as we talk in the show, with a
Did you-
bonus
hold on
round,
a
another
second.
30 years. I don't know what to do with that because I never
Okay,
anticipated having that round.
Paul.
It's one of the hardest questions to answer.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you like? And the next
I think
question
it's
is,
really hard.
what will having that do for you? And why is that important? And who else will it affect in your life? Because nobody changes exactly, Rad,
Either way.
until everything we
radical.
do, without exception, is either toward pain,
Yep.
going toward pain in a way, going toward pleasure. And that's what people struggle with, is that they have to sometimes let
there's
go of
shame
the
and
need
guilt
to
involved in it.
struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they have to let go of that need to struggle
Yeah.
and go toward pleasure. And so basically, you're always winning at the game you're playing. So
Always, well, I can't write these down fast enough here. You're always winning at the game you're playing. That's
so-
another
So
great
what
one.
is the
Yeah.
game
What's
you're
the game
playing?
that you're playing, Paul?
And it's kind of like
I'm going to have to leave the room. I got to think some more.
I knew we would stump you. Okay, yeah.
My only point I'm making is, I'm not trying to be difficult here.
No,
but
no, I love
what,
you.
What
You're
you're
perfect.
bringing,
I love a challenge.
What you're bringing out sounds so simple.
God.
Just make a different choice. Come on, love yourself. Just make yourself a
Right.
priority. All those things, and yet you're admitting or saying, and I believe it, that most of us don't. And to Rod's question, then why? Are
Well,
we
I-
just
I-
stuck? Are we trained? Are we afraid? Or is it all of that? What makes this seemingly simple transition difficult?
You're comfortable. You're comfortable in your scarcity. You're comfortable.
course,
You're
yes.
comfortable in your tightness more so than being open to receive. And to more importantly give to yourself. You're not ready. If you're answering a question with a question,
You're not in enough
ready.
pain.
You're not enough
Yeah.
pain.
I went to a therapist
Mm-hmm.
many years ago.
And they said you're not in enough
She's
pain.
not in pain. No, she said, I think you should try massage. Now, you know how I feel about massage. I'm from the Midwest. No, I'm not so sure about people touching me and rubbing me and all this stuff here. So that's just, we don't tug and hug and everything.
You're a
like that.
Midwesterner Irishman who basically is a Catholic?
Yes, there's a lot of pain and
all
guilt
right,
and
so there's
everything
a lot
in
of
there.
pain and guilt in there.
So she sends me to this therapist, and I had a very, it just felt very discomforting. She said, how did it feel? I said, on one level, I liked it, but, I hated it. She said, I don't think you've ever experienced just being totally relaxed. You're always uptight and worried and thinking what's going to happen.
Okay.
So that's the way I was raised.
So are you ready? Are you ready
Hell
to
no.
do? No, hold on. Hold on. Because what are we, like halfway through the show?
Yeah.
So are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Not
you put
me.
yourself in this,
Not
right?
me.
I did not
I'm the
guide you
poster
into this gauntlet.
the
You
poster
led
child.
yourself into this gauntlet.
I'm the poster child for
I
you.
am going. You know me. I'm going to use whatever material I get, right? So you led yourself into this
I
gauntlet.
should have kept quiet.
You should have in the corner. You should have been eating your lunch over there, right? Instead of
Getting
having,
fat.
we're going to have you for lunch right now.
Yeah.
But no,
Wow.
but seriously, right? Are you ready to just listen and do? I know I've tried for 3 years to get you to do stuff about
Listen?
seniors and aging, and he has done nothing after sitting here.
I listen. I just don't do.
Right. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm not, but I'll try.
So what do we do with Paul?
Well, that's the thing I do really is it's psychology and brain science. It's really okay. So basically, everything we do, it's hard to comprehend this concept, but everything we do has a positive intention, and it doesn't always seem that way.
Even when you're beating me up here. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, for
I
example,
love you. That's why.
So to understand this idea, imagine you have an old-fashioned weighing scale,
Right.
and on one side, you weigh all the benefits of getting what you want. For example, I want to lose 10 pounds, okay? And on the other side are all the drawbacks. So if you have more on the side of benefits, you'll have that. So basically, we have what is safe for us to have, and you mentioned it, Rod. You said what's safe, and that's huge because it's survivable. We're here. The reason so many women stay in abusive relationships is they've never stepped out on their own. They don't know. They've never done that. I could die. And so,
Yeah, you don't have a personal reference point to have been there and survived.
but I've been beaten, not me personally, but they're sorry, and then they give you gifts, and they promise they'll never do it again. And then, okay, that's survivable. So whatever survivable is worth doing over and over and over again. So when I ask somebody what do they want,
working endlessly at an
whatever-
unfulfilling job, same situation.
exactly, whatever
Yep.
has weighs the more is that's what you're going to get. So for example, if I ask somebody, what good do you hope to gain from losing weight? And they'd say, oh, I'd have more energy, I'd feel healthier, I'd feel more beautiful, I'd be happier, I'd have more sex. I'd have more peace of mind. I could do anything. Buy clothes would be easier. It's like, okay, great. Now, let's say you've lost the weight, Paul.
Yes.
What might you lose that you value?
My clothes. No.
And now,
I don't know. What could I lose by losing weight? I have no idea.
What might it cost you? What might be the cost you secretly fear that will be a part of getting what you want?
What are you afraid of losing by actually achieving what it is that you say you want?
Fortunately, I've been rescued because somebody's calling in here.
Oh, great. Okay.
Caller, identify yourself
Pause
here.
that there.
Hi, this is Floyd.
Floyd,
Hi,
save me,
Floyd.
buddy. They're beating me up here. Ask a question. Get me off the hot seat.
Where's Rad Gantos?
He's right here. He's right here. Say hi, Rad.
Hey, Floyd, what's up?
I got a question for you, Rad.
Sure.
Is this the same engineer that works on that other show you do with Craig Sullivan?
That show, no, that's a
This-
crazy
this-
show.
This, this is the same engineer that Bear. Actually, Greg has found his weak spot, his Achilles heel. He brings him lunch, so he sits in the corner
And
quietly.
eats.
But
Eats
yes,
me
it's the
quiet,
same
yeah.
engineer, Floyd.
Well, that's awfully nice of him. I hope you split that bill with him. But boy, that engineer is sure annoying. Aging Boomer show?
It is. Aging boomer. Well, I'm the only aging boomer in here, Floyd.
See,
so.
the thing about Paul sometimes that people, and it's really funny because that seems to be an ongoing reaction from the audience, okay, is that Paul needs to sit in the corner quietly.
shut up, yeah.
But there are situations like today's show where Paul walks himself right into
Right into it.
trouble, okay, and by doing so provides us a perfect example of how he can maybe be helped. Now,
the
I don't
poster
really
child.
hold much hope
I'm
that
the
he's going
poster
to be
child.
saved, but yeah, he's acting as a poster child. But yeah, I appreciate the feedback because he needs to hear it, Floyd. Thank you for calling in and sharing that.
All right.
I think he's beyond help, really.
Yeah,
Floyd,
you and
were
me
supposed-
both agree the same.
You were supposed to be helping me, Floyd, not hurting me.
I appreciate that, Floyd. Yeah, thank you so much. Anything for Dee-Dee before you go, or should we just beat up on Paul for a little bit longer?
I think beating up on Paul's a rather good idea.
Sounds good to me. So
That's
hang
easy.
in there. We'll try to do that the rest of the show.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks, Floyd.
Floyd.
I did say I was a tough love coach, right?
Yes, and he needs all the tough
I
love
need
he
a little
can
tough
get.
love.
Because some people will give you support, but I like to stretch my client. So
Right.
support is, that's okay, you're doing great, it's all right. And really all we're aiming for is 1% improvement.
Life
because
starts at the edge of your comfort zone.
Wow.
Yes.
You're just looking for 1%? You think life can change that much if I just changed 1%?
a day.
Oh, 1%
Because
a day.
if
okay.
you imagine
Oh my
an
God.
airplane flying 1 degree off of course, it'll end up in a very different trajectory.
Yeah, right.
So if I just try to do 1% better today than I did yesterday, I'm going to end up in a very, so what, you want another one-liner?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's good.
give it to him.
Do we have to, here, wait, we'll get the rim shot go. Here, wait,
Okay.
give us one. All right, go ahead.
Da-da-da-da, drum roll.
Go ahead.
Okay, small issues will take care of, small changes will take care of big issues,
Mm-hmm.
and then big issues will take care of themselves. Small changes will take care of big issues.
There, that was the
Such
rim
as-
shot for you. Okay.
Drinking 8 glasses of water a day.
Mm-hmm.
8 glasses of water a day will take care of, big issues will take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I won't have as much headache. I'll have more energy. I won't crave as much.
Well, it's also little successes, right? I mean, it's something you can achieve and accomplish, and you
Exactly.
can build on that success
Exactly.
with something else.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's kind of like a little currency when you do good. I'm focusing on. So the other question I say is, what's good and new? Instead of going down
Right.
that rabbit hole, then you
Right.
kind of get buried.
So
that
can I ask
feeds
you a tough question?
Sure.
Did you always have this enlightenment, or did it come to you at some point in time? Were you like me, and you moved towards the light, or did you always feel this philosophy?
Well, I believe that the more I learn, I don't know anything because it's so exciting. And I had to join a book club just to read a trashy novel because I just dig this shit. So I just eat it up. And people say I inspire them. And they'll also tell me, like, oh, you've been through a lot. I've been married twice before, 4 children, did some things that I had to do to, what are you willing to do? People want it, but they aren't really willing to do anything. And they say, oh, you've had it so hard. I'm like, I just keep going. I'm like a cockroach. I just,
Okay.
stuff
Survival
at me, and
instinct.
I
say
keep
the
going. and
Energizer Bunny. We don't have
so
to use that one.
I
yeah.
really do believe it's my passion and my purpose, and that's what I was born to do. And
Is the motivation just constant growth for you? What is the motivation?
the motivation
the
is
reward to yourself. What is it?
it is living, and it really breaks my heart when I see people who are sad and depressed, and not living. Like, I wish I could show people all the success and all the money that they wish they thought would make them happy, and when they got that, they would realize that they're really not that happy. There's a lot of people with money that aren't happy, and
There's a lot of people with money that are, but that's not necessarily a give. That if you have that, then you're basically happy in life.
yeah, and
I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's very true.
Money doesn't buy love or happiness.
it helps, but
Can rent it
No,
for a while.
It could, but you get arrested doing that.
I believe in not either or. I'm not going to have
Either
money
or.
and be miserable,
Right.
or
No, it's
eat
true.
eat cake and be happy.
Right.
I want both and more. I want money and love. I want to eat cake and be skinny. So it's not an either or. So when you relax, your body can let go. So what I teach is really how to love yourself into health, happiness, and wholeness. And the first couple sessions are we dial in on what you should eat. The second couple sessions we talk about tapping into your intuition. The next couple sessions we talk about just your next, like your floor becomes your ceiling. Now what? As long as I'm living and breathing, I can always want. So I'm always going for the next best thing in my life. And yeah, it's really.
And how do people
you-
find you? I was just curious. I mean,
You
do you advertise? Do you work
Yeah,
with
how
others?
how do people find you?
Word of mouth?
I mean, your
Most-
website is great. It's got a lot of information on it, and I encourage everybody
Yeah.
to go visit it.
really, the universe. It's pretty strange.
The universe.
Okay, let me explain that.
All right.
Ignore him. He's on a different
Universe.
stratosphere.
Wait a minute
altogether.
here. Universe is calling.
The universe. Well, everybody has 4 basic needs. The first one is for significance. Gentlemen, we want to feel significant.
Always.
We need certainty. And certain people, need that on different levels to feel certain. Like some people might need to know that Social Security is going to pay for my bedroom tonight. Other people need $1 million in the bank to feel certain. So whatever it is for you, we need to feel certain. We need a little variety, because if we always knew everything that was going to happen all the time, life would be really boring.
Right.
And then we need love and connection. Those are the 4 basic human needs for survival. But if you really want to be fulfilled and happy, you also need growth, and that's where you're learning something new, and contribution. And contribution is you give back. You give back,
Yep.
and then the universe will give to you. This is a shout out to my Rotarians. I'm a Rotary member, and most of them don't even know what I do. You don't talk about you. It's not about you. It's about service above and beyond yourself. We talk about how to raise money, and then we talk about how to give it away. And when I did that, the universe just showered me with like 5 clients out of the sky, like people I did a lecture for 2 years ago, or someone that's been receiving my newsletter for 5 years. They're ready now. And so just random people, and I say it came from giving back. And
paying it forward.
And paying
all
it
that
forward.
stuff that we talk about that people go, oh, that's just a title on a book. If you've been there and you have received and you've been open, you understand that that's how the energy works. That's how the universe responds to what you put out. If those who basically are looking for that quick fix, that are going to basically pick up that self-help book and I'm going to try to read it between my lunch break and whatever, and I'm not really living or walking the talk, that's when it doesn't work.
I do have a lot of really specific action steps for changing our habits.
Let's share them.
For one thing, the most important thing is there is no such thing as willpower or self-control.
What?
Okay?
What?
It's why power. What do you want and why do you want it?
Yep.
And so, for an example, I love to share this little example of, say if I had a 10-inch wide plank of wood, it was 30 feet long, like you have on your floor, 10 inches wide, 30 feet long, and I laid it on the floor, and I said, Paul, would you walk across that plank for $20 on the floor? What would you say?
Sure.
Sure. Now, me too. So now, what if I took that same 10-inch wide plank of wood and put it on the top of 2 100-story-foot buildings and asked you to walk across it that was 10 inches wide for $20, would you?
Not for $1 million.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Okay, so what if I said one of your children or grandchildren were at one end of the building and the building was on fire,
And you have
and
to
unless
let
you
Yeah.
walked across
You
it
got me there. I'd run. Yeah.
okay, for $20 or not?
For free.
Okay, so I have another. So there you go. You want a goal that's so powerful. Like for me, I was getting married and I had a skimpy little wedding dress, and I'm seeing everybody I know, at the beach, and I want to fit into that dress and look good for my pictures. And so it's like, okay, I'm not going to eat this. Every time I say no to something, it's because I have a bigger yes. Okay. And so now I don't have grandchildren yet, but I should. So I want to be able to run a marathon or a triathlon or climb a mountain or go for a hike with my grandbabies, And if I don't take care of myself now,
You're not
so
going to be able to do that.
it's pulling me toward my goals. It's not that I can't have it. It's a choice. I can choose to feel tired and lack energy, but I choose to feel high vibrational energy. It's not what I can't have, it's what I can have, and I can eat good.
That reminds me of something, probably the one thing I've ever gotten out of Tony Robbins way back in the day when it was the Power Series.
Yeah.
And I've said it a couple times on the show, and it's like, I don't know why this is the only thing that ever registered with me from that, right? But it was about the fact that most people live their lives minimizing pain
Exactly.
as the motivation versus maximizing pleasure. And I'm not using pleasure in a manner that is sort of insidious or kind of sketchy. I'm just saying that what you just described, which is you being able to have that trek with your grandbabies, you being able to have a positive that you're trying to maximize as the driving motivation, most people, it's interesting, and until you make that flip of that switch where it's the opposite side of the same exact coin, but it's just a matter of how you are phrasing it in your own head, that it is not to minimize pain, it is to maximize pleasure. I'm not going to take actions so I can think of the worst case scenario and avoid it. I'm going to take actions to think of the best case scenario that I want and achieve it.
Right.
And it's fascinating how our DNA, or I don't know if it's DNA or nurture or nature, whatever it is, but there's a genuine consistency of people that have this programming wiring wrong. Or at least not the way that is positively impacting their lives.
Can I give you a quote that supports that here? That's why I crawled over to get it here. Most of us stubbornly resist the things we should do. What if we just as stubbornly pursued the things we could do?
You know what I love about what you just read is the fact that you crawled on the floor to seek it. Okay,
right.
you
That
actually
answer.
crawled on the floor to seek that, and yet you are sitting in your chair comfortably resisting everything else that we're saying.
Absolutely. This is me. I'm not doubting it. I'm just saying that. And you know who said that? You know who wrote that?
Please tell me.
I did.
You said that?
That actually came to me one night, and I've quoted it.
Can I hear it again? I want to hear it
Yes,
again.
let's hear it again, and more importantly, you listen to what you're
Oh
saying.
well, I'm not going to listen to myself.
All the answers are within you.
Most of us stubbornly resist the things we should do. That's been my whole life, resisting. You should do this. You should do. No, I'm going to resist it. What if we just as stubbornly pursued the things we could do?
Okay, could you do me a favor? I want you to read it again, but I want you listen. I want you to read it again, but I really want you to take it to heart and listen to the words that you are reading.
I hate this show. Most of us stubbornly resist the things we should do. What if we just as stubbornly pursued the things we could do?
Okay. So you wrote yourself a note.
I wrote myself a note. I put it up there. I really did.
And then you buried that note underneath the cabinet,
Yeah.
and you had just crawled on your hands and knees to seek the wisdom of your own words.
of my own intuition here that came up with this a while
And
ago.
just like Dee-Dee just told you,
I've
the
never come
answer,
up with
the
that.
answers are
Here's within
Within
you.
you.
Yeah.
Within you. Well, here's another one. The pain of discipline lasts maybe 30 seconds, where the pain of regret could last your lifetime.
Wow, boy, you just filled it. You should write a book of these. There should
I
be a
should.
page a day kind of thing here. Yeah.
Okay, here's how it works, Paul.
All right.
Okay, this is how our habits.
Are you paying attention?
This is how our habits get formed.
I'm trying not to. Go ahead.
Okay, first there's a trigger.
Yes.
Okay, a trigger is an external sensory trigger that cues the brain. Let's say it's an alarm clock.
Right.
Okay, the alarm clock goes off at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever time you're. Okay, the trigger prompts a thought, a mental picture, or an internal dialogue with meaning. It's time to get up. Are you following me?
Okay.
Okay. The thought then prompts a feeling, pleasure or pain, a positive or negative physiological response in the body. Okay? The feeling prompts a behavior. Okay. The strategy completes when with a comparison test. The test completes with a comparison. The test compares which behavior, stopping or continuing, gives you the better feeling. And when you have the best feeling you can get from a behavior, then you stop and exit the sequence. So, if sleeping in feels more enjoyable, we'll do that. If getting up and working out feels more enjoyable,
You'll do that.
we'll do that. I don't personally enjoy working out, but I do enjoy the results and the benefits much, much more than sleeping in. So I get up and exercise.
And yet we all do destructive behaviors
And for-
over and over again. I mean, we all have the stories of our life where we
because
persist,
we're survivable. To do anything
or
else.
we were taught that, where we observed it, or whatever.
Yeah,
for,
that-
for example,
at
children
some-
children of alcoholics tend to become
Yeah,
alcoholics.
but we're not
you
talking
know.
about. This room doesn't have children in it, and so you basically have the ability to reparent yourself. So
No, you
blaming
don't.
somebody
I'm
else.
stuck.
For that,
I was frozen at 5 here. I'm
Okay, here's another one for you, Paul. think of
see what I've been dealing with for
Oh
3
my
years,
God.
Dee-Dee?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a saint.
Stubborn. Rod's a saint. He really
He's
is.
harmless. Everything.
Harmless. Oh, great. That's the worst thing you could have said to me today here.
Here-
That's the worst thing for a radical revolutionary child of the 60s like me. I'm harmless. Oh, my God. Nothing makes me feel older.
What else? What else?
Here's a
another
writer.
one.
Here's a writer downer. This is a pattern
Writer
in-
downer.
Writer
Oh,
downer.
okay.
Everything
Writer downer.
anybody does, without exception, including Paul, is either an act of love or a cry for love. So he's really just crying out for love.
He's been crying out for love
For a
in that
long
corner.
I love you. Have I told you that I love
And
you
Floyd
today?
and everybody
You know,
else
you know
tells
how
me
funny
to
it
shut
is?
up here.
He has, how many shows do you have on the station?
25.
Okay, he has 25 shows on the station. They are each and every one a cry for love
Or a
from
cry
Paul.
for love. Exactly. So all
And
we gotta
up
say
until
is,
this moment, nobody's recognized that. They're all telling me to shut up and go sit there. I'm crying for love here.
Yeah.
Or
So-
food. One of the two.
So, Paul, I want you to think of something that you do Okay, here. Okay.
All right.
Erase. Think
Erase.
of something you wanted.
Wanna
Think
erase
of something you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you did it.
And I did do it, or
And
I
you
did
did
not.
do it. Think of something you wanted to do and you did it.
That's-
What would that be?
That's really good, Dee-Dee.
Something I opened the station.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, you open the station. Okay. Now think of something you wanted to do, but you didn't, or maybe something you started but you didn't finish.
I wanted to get up at the beginning of the show and leave. I'm still here. No, something I wanted to do that I didn't finish.
Either you wanted to do and you didn't do it, or maybe you started it but then you didn't finish it.
I'd have to think deeper about that. Nothing pops into my mind here. Like,
What
you're
do you
just
have a
supposed to react.
regret about not pursuing? Anything.
Writing a book, learning the Argentine tango, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
I have regrets that I haven't been able to do things like, travel more or something like, I suppose. But I don't. I have kind of lived, as grumpy as I sound, I followed this muse. I've done lots of crazy things. So there aren't too many things where I held back and said, gee, I wish I had done that, but I didn't.
No, we need an answer here.
Yeah, we're looking for a regret. You're not going to wiggle out of this one.
Go skinny dipping, maybe?
No,
anything.
no, there isn't anything wild. I'm sure there is something. It's just nothing popping into my head right now here.
An opportunity.
Career-wise, I suppose.
No. An opportunity to do something with your grandson, a situation.
Travel. We can use travel.
Travel. Let's say
Okay.
travel.
Okay, well, the reason you...
I haven't taken some. I was offered a trip actually not recently, not long ago to Africa, but I'm so terrified of flying. I get so panicky sitting in a plane and so claustrophobic that I turned down a trip.
I have another quote for that one.
Yeah, no, that's
Go ahead.
there's a real issue. Yeah,
I don't have any tattoos, but if I did have a tattoo...
come on, you got a tattoo.
It would
somewhere,
be it would be the one that like Angelina Jolie has. It's written on you.
Yeah.
It would say, "We must substitute faith for fear. For fear is just inverted faith. We're believing in the worst instead of the best." So
I have real trouble with that. And as a man of faith, because I go to church every Sunday, I have struggled with faith my whole life. Just to believe that something's going to happen without me doing it, that's really, really hard.
and that's the crux of that's part of your primary food is your spirituality, because we presuppose that it's all up to us. But when we know that the universe is supporting us, then we do what we can, and you can only have as much faith as you have fear. If you're filled with fear, you're not going to have any faith.
I'm taking
So-
you rock climbing.
Oh, I could never.
I'm
do
taking you rock
Oh,
climbing,
never in
and
a
I'm
million
putting you
years.
on one end of the rope, and I'm going to be on the other end. And let's see, that's the true test of
Can
whether
if you want a really a revelation moment here, we adopted a daughter. And my wife and I didn't have any children, so we adopted a daughter. We told the story a little bit, and when she was 10, and I'm good Irish Catholic, go to church, and talking about all the kids in the foster care. I said, let's do this before it's too late. She said, well, it would be nice if we talked about children 20 years ago. We could have done this, but okay. But late in life, we had a real series of discussions, and we ended up pursuing this. Now, here's the faith. So we make a nice living. We live in a nice area. No criminal past. I'm thinking this is going to be. We'll have a kid by Tuesday, right? We'll just go down and okay, we'll get one. A year later, we still don't have one. And people look at me going, what's wrong with you guys here? I know you're a little older, and maybe they're looking for somebody younger, and blah, 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 blah. And they kept saying, have faith. I'm like, have faith. Forget it. What else can I do? I got to do this. We'll go to an adoption fair. We'll look at other agents. What can I do proactively to push this along? Nothing. I hated that.
Because you're under the false impression that
It was up to me.
that you actually had control.
Yes. So finally, a year goes by, and they present this little girl to us. And they weren't presenting us anybody. I'm thinking this thing is over. And my wife says, that's it. I said, that's it? A year? She looks cute. She looks nice. But this is it? This is my child here? And she says, you got to have faith. And I just, through that whole process, I've never felt more unempowered, out of control, and I hate being out of control. And I never felt more out of control. And it's been a wonderful ride. It's been a wild ride. It's times it's been a very difficult ride, but it's that just to let go and let God. And this is somebody who's gone to church his whole life. Even that's hard for me to do. That's just hard. As a guy, take control. My father was a type A personality. Work hard. You're going to get what you want.
So you're on this side of it now,
Yeah.
having gone through that experience.
That was 15 years ago.
So did you frame that experience as being just an unusual situation, or did you actually derive something out of it that you took with you?
I've tried to be more, you call it the universe, or I'll say God, or whatever it is, somebody that's going to just look out for you and give you what you want and when you need it. that's, I don't know why, but that's very hard for me to. I've gotten. I would say it's opened me more to it. Yes, because I had an experience of faith that I can't explain any other way. How we found this girl and how she came into our life.
Would you say that your ego gets in the way when situations like that?
Maybe I don't want to think of it that way. I think
you know what ego stands for, right?
No.
No.
You must have an
Edge,
acronym.
God, out.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to steal that one.
Wow, that's a
Oh,
good.
I'm gonna-
What
I'm
is
gonna
today? Is
That's
steal that.
That's a Deepak Chopra.
Ah,
That is
Edge
a
God,
good
I love it.
Thank you, Dr. Chopra.
Thank you, Dr. Chopra.
Yeah.
That is a Deepak Chopra. When you let your ego get in the way,
I love that.
and you frame it as being a sense of control, here's the falsehood. Here's the illusion. There, you have no control. You have certain things that you can do in the now, and that is all that you have. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. There's the now, and you can take action in the now. And when you get your ego in the way of that, you edge God, whatever God to you is, out.
Don't we all think we have a control, though? If not, that we feel out of control. Some people like being out of control and just live that way. They just
That's called my definition of myself in my eyes as being this is what my value is. Your value in your eye is that your life is a challenge and that you are out of control and you have to constantly be battling and succeeding and taming in order to feel value to your life. And that is where your energy is getting sucked up instead of actually accepting the fact that the ultimate empowerment is to surrender what you do not really have control over.
Ouch. I don't like that. I'm a big movie buff, old movie buff, so I always think of movie quotes.
You wiggle so fast, by the way.
Oh,
the
I
minute
do.
you put it on the spot, you wiggle so
I
fast.
do. All right, so here's
Okay.
two quotes. The famous Streetcar Named Desire. You remind me of Blanche Dubois, the tragic character in the film, who's the fallen, royalty, fallen rich woman, fallen on tough times, and she says, "I rely on the kindness of strangers." I can't rely on the kindness of strangers. My aunt relies on the kindness. I've known people that do that. Just expect somehow things are going to work out and strangers going to come at the right moment.
But Blanche Dubois didn't have it right either.
I-
You don't rely on the kindness of yourself.
Ouch. And then the other one I can't help but think of is Cool Hand Luke, another great movie.
Here we go again with the movie quotes.
Yeah, Cool Hand Luke. And so his whole life, he's this smart alecky guy that's always getting himself in trouble, and he gets on a chain gang, and he's the one that talks to the man and gets beat down over and over and over and over again. He doesn't mean to do this, but he keeps getting himself in trouble, and finally they're chasing him. It's the final scene. He knows he's going to get caught. He's probably going to get killed, and he's cornered in a church of all places. And he looks up and he says, "Okay, is there really a God up there? Is anybody listening up there? So, will you explain to me why my life has been like this? Why this crazy stuff is happening?" And he says, "Well, what do you got to say?" And there's silence, and he goes, "That's what I thought."
Okay, so again, you put yourself in the gauntlet, okay? Because people don't play scene it with me because of what I know about movies. Okay?
Yes, right.
So I'm going to turn it over to Dee-Dee, but I'm going to use another quote from Cool Hand Luke on you.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, this whole show,
Yes.
okay, this whole resistance that you have.
Yeah.
Okay?
To letting go.
You know what this is?
What?
We are having a failure to communicate.
Perfect. What
Or
I
I
think
would
we
say-
have is a
Okay,
failure to
so
communicate
on
here.
that note, you're going to sit over there and you're going to absorb all of this, right? And
okay.
I'm going to basically turn it back to Dee-Dee
All right.
in the last 10 minutes.
You got it.
We've given up on Paul, at least for the time being.
Well,
He has to absorb.
we had some limiting beliefs, which were yesterday's solutions.
Yeah.
So when I talk about behaviors, beliefs, identity, you're attaching yourself to these beliefs, and until you change your beliefs, like when I came in here, it's like I could believe that, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared, I don't know what I'm going to say, I'm going to make a fool of myself.
How do you feel right now?
But I didn't have that belief. For a second, and then I changed my belief to people just can't wait to hear what I have to say. And people just can't wait to, get to know me better.
Absolutely.
So that changes everything. So your beliefs about, lack and fear, if you want to know what somebody believes, you look at what they're experiencing, because our beliefs create our experiences, and our experiences will confirm our beliefs. So if I believe that people are going to abandon me, I have to attract people who are going to abandon me to confirm my beliefs. If I believe...
Right, I'm right, right? I was right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I believe I have to work hard to make a living, I can't make a living unless I work really, really, really hard.
Right.
If I believe people are only takers, I'm going to attract people who have very little to give. So we're basically confirming our belief. So
Is this the law of attraction? And people talk about in business all the time, you attract what you put
no,
out there.
it's always out there. You just aren't seeing it. So, for example, for a while I had for now I have a little Q5 Audi
Yeah.
Mini. What do you call that?
Car.
Car,
We
yeah.
call it a
Yeah.
car.
I never saw one before in my life until I drove one. Now they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Like
Right.
where they've always been there. I just wasn't
You
looking
just
for
didn't
them.
see 'em.
I was looking for hardwood floor lately and never noticed floor before, but that's all I see. It's because it's always been there. I just was closing myself out to
You
it.
were
So,
open to it, yeah.
but okay, let me ask you a question, Rod.
Ask
Yes,
away.
please. Go on Rod here, right?
Now, think of something that other people struggle with that you have discipline and willpower about that those other people don't.
Okay.
And what would that be?
The ability to let go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, lovely.
His friend is here, and she confirms
Now-
that. Yeah, somebody she's known for a while.
You don't do it because you have discipline and willpower. You do it because you've arranged to have a positive feeling from doing the thing versus not doing the thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, that other people have not yet arranged to have that positive feeling. Like Paul, he just can't let it go because it doesn't feel good to let
He
go.
doesn't understand the power that comes from letting it
Yeah,
go.
so you've attached a much more positive feeling.
The
Now,
power that comes from feeling powerless. Oh boy, that's hard. That's a conundrum. That's a
so how we set up strategies to do that is what we want to look at.
Okay.
And there's actually no such thing, like I say, as willpower, only very, really useful strategies that deliver positive feelings at the right time, the right place. And the conditions, a tip to get started is setting up the conditions in the beginning, what I call for inevitable success.
Right.
So here's a tip for you, Paul. You can make good things easy, like getting a personal trainer or a friend to work out with you, and keeping healthy food in the house, and keeping and make the bad things hard. So like completely clearing the clutter, take all the junk food out of the house. So it's not. So for me to get an ice cream, I have to go to Rite Aid and get a scoop of ice cream.
It's not
It's
easily
not in the
there.
house. Yeah. Or attach something that you already do naturally, like I drink coffee in the morning and I attach that to my lemon water. Okay, I take a shower, I attach that to taking my vitamins. I eat lunch, I stop and take 10 slow deep breaths. So things that I already do naturally, I will attach my
Other
new
positive
habits
things
to.
them,
That's a clever idea. I never thought
Yeah,
of that.
and let me just share these 10 questions with you and then we can
Okay.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
So
10 questions in 5 minutes. Here we go.
Okay. when in doubt, it takes the emotions and the willpower out of the equation, and it's just the facts. Okay, so when you're having trouble setting priorities, or you're overwhelmed with taking on too much, you might want to ask yourself these 10 questions, and they'll help you gain clarity on what is life-giving and fulfilling. So you don't have to tell me your question, but just think of a question. It could be, should I eat this cupcake? Should I leave my husband? It could be any question.
Wow.
Okay. And then you just
Could be the same question.
Yeah.
okay. And then you just answer yourself honestly. And again, you're taking yourself out of the, if you step back, basically, what would you tell your best friend to do? Okay. So question number 1 is, will this choice propel me toward an inspiring future, or will it keep me stuck in the past?
Okay.
Okay. Got that answer? Put that on one hand. We're going to add these up. And then at the end, you'll know what you should do.
All right.
Okay. Will this choice bring me long-term fulfillment, or will it bring me short-term gratification? Got your answer? Okay, mark that on one of your hands. Am I standing in my own power, or am I trying to please another? Am I looking for what's right, or am I looking for what's wrong? That one's a little tricky.
Well, it goes back to your values.
Yeah, exactly. Will this choice add to my life force, or will it rob me of my energy? Will I use this situation as a catalyst to grow and evolve, or will I use it to beat myself up? Does this choice empower me, or does it disempower me? Is this an act of self-love or self-sabotage, which is my personal favorite? Is this an act of faith or an act of fear? Hint, Paul. Am I choosing for my divinity, or am I choosing for my humanity? And like I say, I just cut to the chase with one question, is does this serve my highest purpose? And if not, I don't do it.
But Dee-Dee, it's funny because a lot of those questions require a person to have a little clarity about themselves. in order to be answering those questions. And that is a commitment to oneself that usually maybe it's time, maybe it's effort, maybe it's a combination of both to get to that point where, because you could ask the same person those questions at a certain point in their life, and they would basically answer them different perhaps after they've had certain set of experiences or later in life. And so, you know, for those who are looking at that as being a one-time test that you take those questions and that's it, and I know everything about me, that's not the case. And when we kind of like, we're being jovial and we're talking about the fact that this is a journey, and this show is a journey of aging, and and Paul is the one who actually had termed the show as the journey of aging, okay, and labeled me as a aging, it's a what,
Aging explorer.
Honestly, it is a journey, and it is not the destination, it is the journey.
Well, the reason 98% of people lose weight and gain it right back, if not more, is because there's three things that they're missing. Number one is the right system, which are the right steps in the right order, support, and accountability. Someone to keep them accountable, which means there's 2% of the people who are losing the weight and keeping it off, and that's what I do with my clients. And there's also something to think about that you're absolutely positively right, is it's called the 10 times rule, and that you really have to do something 10 times before it starts to feel in any way normal. And we often have an expectation that the first time we do something, it should feel right, and it should go well, and we shouldn't feel as nervous. That's just not going to happen. So it's an unreasonable explanation.
New habits take 30 days at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Heard that number of times on the show, 30 days to change the habit.
But it might take 45. In your case, it may take 90. I mean, you know, it just this approach that we have for that one size fits all, one solution fits everybody, is not the case. And that's where people like Dee-Dee, I think, are invaluable for those who are really interested and willing and ready to take that journey and need a little guide along the way to help them, not necessarily tell them what is absolutely going to work and what is not going to work, but at least guide them towards some things to try to find their own path through their own growth.
Sounds like a tune-up.
Well,
Sounds like to get in tune with somebody and then to tune them to the best frequency.
I think he might actually be getting something here.
Wow.
It's really vital to examine our beliefs and their consequences to make sure that they're empowering. And how do we know what beliefs to adopt? The quick answer is to find someone who's producing the results that you want in your life. Okay, and these people are the role models that can give you the answers that you seek. Invariably, behind all successful people lie a specific set of empowering beliefs. So I may not know how, but if someone can do it, I can learn how.
Well,
every master was once a disaster.
Exactly. Every master was once a disaster.
Look at that.
So quit disaster baiting yourself.
Oh, that's, I don't know. Can we say that on this show?
I hope not.
Disaster baiting. That's the new one for the show.
Disaster baiting.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll stay on the air for next week. Yeah. But you know, let me ask you this: Do you think that as people take this journey, I mean, I'll tell you, my own personal experience has been, and I've heard this said before, and it echoes with me, is that once you're on that journey and you're open and you're on it, after a while you start realizing that it's not so much as somebody telling you something new as much as somebody reminding you of something you already knew and reaffirming through support maybe and by example that it's okay for you to go there.
We all have the answers within us. We're just like, I hold my clients accountable because I believe that they have it within them. I'm just giving them the container to try it out and then see, like, stretch them, and you know, and they risk themselves. Like one lady said, well, I can't look at anyone, I'm so shy. I'm like, well, what if you just stand in line at Starbucks and look at them? It's like, oh. So she did. It's like, you didn't die. So now what if you talk to them? Oh, I couldn't do that. Yeah. So then, you know, she talks to them. Next thing you know, she's, you know, asking for their phone number. So it's like stretch, risk, die. So it's just kind of stretching them. We all have the answers within us. And a good coach's job or counselor is to ask you those empowering questions that you have the answers. What do you want? What will having that do for you? Who else might it affect? What might happen if you don't do that?
How do people find out about you, and if they need help, how do they contact you?
Probably Facebook, Instagram, Dee-Dee, Devin at DEEVINE Intervention Lifestyle and Nutrition Health Coaching. Or
call up the universe. They got her number. They got her on speed dial.
The universe has got her on speed dial?
Yeah.
Yeah, website, Facebook, I guess.
And let's give the website again.
Okay, it's just the initials, D-D-D-E, V as in Victor, IN.com, DDDevin.com.
And,
And
that's,
that's
and
it.
that's DeeVineInterventionLifestyle Dee-Dee, thank you for being here.
Namaste. It's been a
Namaste.
pleasure.
It was really, really a good show. And Paul, I hold hope for you.
Me too. I believe in you. You
Hope
can do
springs eternal.
It does. On this show, it does. So hope everybody enjoyed the show. Reach out to Dee-Dee, find out more about her programs. It's a really good website. There's a lot of information on it. And I will report back on Paul. We'll see what happens with him.
Work in progress.
But meanwhile, join us next week on the Raad Life. We'll have another interesting show for you. And be present in your lives. Be present, really, in the now. That's all you have. A lot of the rest of it is illusion. I know you don't want to hear it from me, but there you go. It's my show, so I just told you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. See you next week.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Raad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Rad Gantos, brought to you on the one and only OCTalkRadio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.